Welcome back, everyone, to the Interesting Theory podcast. I'm Aaron.
Tanner.
And as we mentioned last time, we are going to go over kind of our 2025 reads because we haven't really had a chance to talk about that with anyone else.
Yeah.
We did kind of decide last minute that we were going to do a top 5 of 2025. But we haven't looked at our lists in so long that we're going to make our top 5 right here live on camera in front of a studio audience.
In front of a studio audience. There's
Yeah.
a lot of books back there. A lot that we read last year that
Yeah.
are judging us right now.
Yes. I will say one thing I am proud of that I feel like there's a higher percentage of read books on my bookshelf than percentage of unread books on my
There
bookshelf.
is. Especially like at the beginning of the year, last year,
Yeah.
than there is now. But because a few of those you gained, but you
Oh,
also
yeah.
read them too. I
Yeah.
remember the purchase of a lot of them. I was
Yeah.
there for a few.
And a lot of them I just bought after we'd already read it.
Yeah, which helps. That
Yeah.
that helps. The trophy book is great. I have a few on my shelf that I still need to. We're redoing an office eventually,
Yeah.
so that I can display all my books. Abby just bought a book set of some of her favorite books.
Awesome.
And then I can start like actually getting books that I like, and then maybe move some in, move some out. Like, hey, I bought this book, I didn't like it. Maybe pass it on. Do whatever I need to. Hopefully, get some organization in there.
Yeah.
But
So,
to start off, I would say in the last episode, we talked about kind of this rivalry we had last year.
yeah.
Aaron had said that he had set a goal, which was how many?
At the beginning of the year, my goal was 26 books.
Yeah. I didn't have a goal, so I had started reading in like November 2024. I bought a Kindle because I wanted to read. And the first book I read was The Fourth Wing. I didn't know anything about it at all. Not a thing. I heard dragons. I was on TikTok one day and I
Yeah.
just I don't know how it happened. I had gotten like one Fourth Wing video about a stupid blanket someone was advertising on the TikTok shop or whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever. And like the next like 4,000 videos I scrolled through were about Fourth Wing, and none of them gave away any of the plot, just that there were dragons.
Right.
And things. I was like, well, I love dragons and fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot more than just dragon and fantasy. And,
Like what?
smut.
Oh,
Yeah, some Shadow Daddies. My least favorite Shadow Daddy, and because I have some favorites. We're not just book bro readers. Like,
we have variety.
yeah, we have variety.
I haven't read any of Rebecca. Sorry, Rebecca Yarros.
Yeah,
But I've read all of Sarah J. Maas.
I've read 3 Rebecca Yarros books and none of her contemporary romance. Just the fantasy smut that I've read, and I've almost completed all of the Mass verse as well. I'm one book away, minus the upcoming releases.
Yeah.
But so I read that, and then I read those 2, and we talked about I tried to start Way of Kings, didn't happen.
Yeah.
Put it away, saw that it was over 1,000 pages, needed to ease my way into it. And then I started reading these really bad urban fantasy novels about this 40-year-old main character who she talked about always needing like ibuprofen, which I get. I'm in my 30s and I also always need ibuprofen, but
I needed it in my 20s.
if something went wrong, it was fixed immediately for her. And they were like fun. I will give them that. They were
Yeah.
fun and like just stupid, and like I wouldn't read them again, wouldn't recommend them, but I read them and I didn't
So
hate
that,
them.
to me, that brings up, and we're probably going to use this in future videos, but we saw a TikTok the other day of this guy's new rating system.
Yeah.
And I'll actually put a link to it in the description so that way people know what I'm talking about. But it's basically like a spiral of quality and enjoyment, I think is what he called it. But it's basically like wherever it is on the spiral, depending if it's on the top or bottom, or like the spiral determines the quality. Like
then
if the further out is higher quality, and then top of it is you enjoyed
Objectively
it.
good.
Yeah, and then the bottom is you hated it.
Yeah.
So it's like top is like Lord of the Rings. If you go on that same outer ring, but you go past the middle line, it's stuff like he listed it as like Parasite or
Objectively,
Amelia Perez, like it's objectively good, it's well done, production quality is great, but you just hate it. You didn't like it.
You didn't like
and
it.
so that falls somewhere like toward the middle of it, to where you enjoyed it, but the quality was just crap.
I would put it maybe somewhere because I think the closer it got to the middle, the more you enjoyed it.
Well, it was
it being bad?
the enjoyment was on top of the center line or below the center line.
Yeah.
And the spiral, the more in the middle of the spiral you go, was
Worst quality.
Yeah, the worst quality.
Yeah,
So it's like you would be in that sweet spot where it's like the crap, but you enjoyed it.
I think I would put it like, and you guys will have to watch the video, but I think I'll like have to put it like almost teetering below the line of like I enjoyed it because I was reading, and that was about it. Like it served like there were some interesting plots that were happening, but it was in first person, but she brought it out into this weird, like, every now and then she would talk about it like, I'm writing this as myself, writing it in first person kind of view. And it was weird. I don't know how to explain it unless I read a passage from it, and I'll probably never read these books again. And it was something.
There was a point in time I almost considered reading them just because I really wanted to know, but then I'm like, I've got too much else.
Yeah. Well, I told them, I said, I'm not recommending these books.
By no means am I recommending them.
I need to make
they're
this
kind of fun.
I'm making this absolutely clear. I'm not recommending them at all.
Yeah.
If you read them, it's at your own discretion. It's not indicative of my tastes as a reader, but it did serve that purpose of like helping me get back into reading. Sometimes like you hear people talk about, they read these weird books that get them out of the slump. Was it good? No. Was it fun? Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, sure, why not? So it's like, I wouldn't call it got me out of my 15-year reading slump, but it helped ease back into it.
Yeah.
To where we got to some of the bangers that we're about to get into.
So you started your year off with those.
I ended 2024 with it, and then I started 2025, and like I was reading one of these a day. They're like 300 pages long, and like a small 300 pages long.
Right.
Like barely like novella sized pages. They're pretty small, not many words per page. Like my Kindle, like one page on the Kindle was one page in the actual book. So that's how like small these pages were.
Mm-hmm.
I read 4 of them in the month of January. That's how easy and quick they were. And so, so I started with that. And then of course the third Rebecca Yarros, it's like Empyrean series.
The Empyrean series, I think. Yeah.
Onyx Storm came out, and, read that. And that's when my wife got into those books. So
my January, I only read 3 books that whole month, but to be fair, one of them is the size of like 5 books. So I read Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson, the 5th book of the Stormlight Archive, 1,400 pages, I think.
Yeah, it's like it's closer to 14 than it is 13. So.
Yeah, and then I read the second. I really like the Avatar: The Last Airbender world, and so I started reading the Chronicles of the Avatar series, the Kyoshi books. I read the first one in like late 24, so I read the second one in January of 25, and then I ended the month with Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo.
I still want to read those. That's on the list. It's like far down because like I haven't read anything by them yet, and so it's just like it's there.
I hadn't read anything by Leigh Bardugo before. Very aware of who they were. Knew they had a TV show of one of their other series.
I did not know that.
I was the Smoke and Bone.
Is that like the Six of Crows or
yes,
whatever?
Yes, that's in that same universe.
Yeah.
She's got multiple series in that same world, but that's her YA stuff.
Gotcha.
And it sounded good. It just wasn't what I was looking for at the moment. But my wife really loved Ninth House, and I was like, tell me about it. And she's like, well, it's kind of dark academia. It's set on Yale, secret societies. I was like, it's a little different than what I've been reading lately. I want to try that, because all of 24 was just Cosmere.
Yeah.
So I was very much in one genre for a whole year. And, then I go to the Kyoshi books, and that changed it up a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is something that's really different, so I'll try that.
Because there's only like one book, I would say, in the Cosmere that like slightly goes out of just regular fantasy, and that's like Sunlit Man. Because like There's a
Right.
little bit because it's like
You get
has-
more. You get more of the space age
Yeah.
that we've been building toward in there.
Yeah, and so it's like it's still fantasy, but you have some. It's not just like this, not medieval
Yeah,
fantasy.
and
but
I think it's. I viewed it more fantasy just because it's a lot of the magic that's in it is very reminiscent of one of the other series, and even though there is technically like spaceships,
they're powered by magic.
yeah, so it's sci fantasy,
Yeah.
however you want to call it, but
But deep in
so that was January. I would say Wind and Truth has to be on my top 5 list.
none of the books in January are on my top 5.
I don't blame you.
So, and that's like not for the fact that I mean, some of them weren't bad, but like Onyx Storm was not a lot of people thought it was a letdown. I thought it was okay for what it is. I'm grading on a curve.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it up there with Words of Radiance or
Right. Well, and
Oathbringer.
that's why we've talked about using that guy's spiral rating system instead of like a 5-star rating system or something, because it's hard to want to, because like there are books that I've read that I would call 5 stars,
Yeah.
but purely based out of enjoyment and not technical writing at all. You cannot compare it to a Cosmere book,
No.
but I would also rate a lot of Cosmere books 5 stars. They're both 5 stars for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would like to use that guy's rating system, and
It's a good one. We'll get a budget and we'll get a whiteboard and we'll draw it out.
yeah, we'll get a green screen.
Yeah. We're just gonna pump millions into this, guys.
Yeah. So, what about February?
February, I read 2 books.
Ooh.
It was I don't know what it was. I didn't know what to read. We hadn't connected yet in terms of like sharing. Like you'd sent me some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when you sent me that list, but it may have been around that time, and we hadn't talked about like, do we want to start anything? We hadn't talked about like the book club that we started or anything like that. And so I read 2 books. Another one was that series I was talking about with like the 40-year-old main character. It's called the 40 Proof series. There's like 9 books, I think, and there's a prequel. And to give you an idea of these books, there is a side character in there who is a reanimated skeleton, and his name is Robert. In this fantasy world where you have like the Fae and werewolves and sirens and all of this, and you've got a reanimated skeleton named Robert. Now, Robert is by far the best character in this entire series, but his name is Robert, and he got his own novella. I say this as these books are, less than 300 pages in some of them, so they're all basically novellas.
Yeah.
But they are novels. And then I read this other book called Upscaled. It took me like 6 hours. It's this little cute, cozy fantasy dragon book about a girl who finds dragon eggs and like steals them off this cart, and it hatches, and the stakes are low. There's like perceived danger, but nothing bad actually happens. I think the author prefaces the book with, nothing bad happens in this book. It's just fun. It's just cute. It's about dragons. And it's like, and he delivered. I think I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5 because like he delivered exactly what he said he was going to do.
Right.
And it was fun. I haven't read the second one. The second one came out. I just haven't got to it. It's just as short. It just follows the brother like of this little girl. She's like 11.
Yeah.
And like read it. It's fun. It's cute. But none of those made my top 5 either. Shockingly.
Okay, well, for my February, I read 4 books. Picked it up a little bit.
Hot dog.
I reread Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare because the sequel to it was coming out the following month.
Still need to read those.
Those are good. She's known for her YA with the Shadowhunter stuff. This was her first adult fantasy. It's pretty solid. Not making the top 5. Like I said, it was a reread. I read it back when it first came out.
Yeah.
In 23. And then I read the sequel to Ninth House, Hellbent, just as good as the first one. And then I read Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust
Nice.
back to back. And those were fun little romps.
I need to read those. I think I'm gonna move those up. My wife has read them. You've read them. Carly.
We even got to meet the author.
Yeah, I've met him and I have his signature, and I didn't read his books.
Yeah. He did a signing nearby for the third book.
He even complimented my hoodie. I felt like a tool. But we'll read them. It's okay. He was super nice.
Yeah.
My wife has read them. She loves them.
They're great.
So we'll
And
get there.
I would say the third one is probably, well, it's here on the list later. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
In November. But anyways, I read those. Those were great. They didn't make the top 5, but I would say they're honorable mentions because they are just fun, cute stories.
Yeah.
They're nice little palate cleansers because, like I said, I read, Hellbent, and those are kind of dark books.
Yeah.
Some dark content. So it's nice to kind of read those before going into the next month.
Yeah.
And then, so what about March?
March is where some bangers happened. This is where we're getting into top 5 territory.
This is where we started buddy reading.
Yes, like at the beginning of the month, we talked about it last time, but at the beginning of the month, Aaron sent me a message like, hey, let's get together. Let's get a book club going. And we got a book club of 2.5. I say a half because my best friend is reading. He's still reading. He's actually continuing to read books, but he's less involved. Got a couple of kids. We're all old and
Understandable reasons. Yeah.
We've got responsibilities, and his are just outweighs some of ours.
We're just both dink households.
Yeah.
And don't have to worry about, adulting more than he does.
Yeah. The responsibilities I have include myself, my wife, and my 2 cats.
Yeah.
And so that is about it. But we I don't know who. I know we had talked about it a little bit because you had said you'd read them. But then there's like some coworkers who like 2 years ago told me to read these books. And I was like, okay, we'll give it a shot. I don't know what they're about. I've heard they're about fairies fucking. And so, and you never know how it's going to go. I didn't know if I was going to enjoy, like I read the little bit of smuttiness that's in the Empyrean series. I didn't know if I liked it or not. And it's like, do I really care? Not really. So I read the first 2 ACOTAR books. With my wife. Me and my wife read this series together for the most part. She got ahead of me at one point, and then I barreled through and read them all. But then we read Dungeon Crawler
Carl.
We had talked about it. It was like, well, what book do we start? And like, I was like, I'd seen this book, I'd seen the cover of it, and I was like, it sounds kind of interesting. You had mentioned it like in passing at one point that you owned the first 2. And yeah.
Yeah, that honestly, great start to a book club.
Yeah.
I would say so. Maybe one of the later books, but one of the books from this series is definitely going on the top 5.
Yeah, and it's like not in, like if we're rating just Dungeon Crawler Carl books, which we can, I think we will eventually. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But this one's not my favorite. It's not at the bottom of the list. It was like
it's a very good book 1.
Yeah. Like, I think we, like, me, Aaron, and my buddy, like, the next day, everyone was like, we all started it and was like, was that, like, one of the greatest intros of all time? Like, there was no waiting.
Mm-hmm.
There was no build-up. It was just like, you're in it, you're going, and you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, Matt Denneman did a really good job of putting you in there, and you didn't have to ask a bunch of questions.
Yeah. Like, I know they're doing a live-action series with Seth MacFarlane's company.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much have the groundwork here to have one of the best season 1s in television history.
Absolutely.
If they follow it to a T.
And if they better get it right, like, we can talk about all that later.
Yeah.
But, no. So we read Dungeon Crawler Carl, and then this one may be just an honorable mention on my top 5 because there are others, but Shadow of the Gods.
See, Shadow of the God, this series is going on the top 5.
Hardcore.
Just not this particular. If we only have to pick one book to represent a series, it's not this one.
Yeah.
It's still
5-star.
It's one of those, it's like you've got a series of books that they're all 5s, but one book's like a 4.99.
Yeah. And that's Shadow of the Gods.
Yeah.
And like, I remember us starting to read it, and both of us at the beginning were like, it's not grabbing us. Like, there was like, it started a little slow. I was traveling in Colorado trying to read it a little bit, and you went ahead of me. And I remember you saying, once you get to chapter 10, it starts to really pick up.
And I think I kind of picked up on it a little quicker just because I I would say doing a whole year of Cosmere
Mm-hmm.
kind of trained me to just be patient with the slower fantasy stories. And now I love a good build up. I love a
Yeah.
good slow intro into a fantasy world. Like just let me sit in the world first. Let me vibe with it and then let's get to the action.
Well, up
But
until that point, I'd been reading mostly first person. And if it was third person, it was really still in the POV of the main character.
mm-hmm.
Whereas this one went straight to third person, and multiple POVs bouncing back and
Right.
forth with a bunch
Well,
of names I didn't know how to pronounce.
right.
So
Same. That's probably one of the few things that we differ on is you were a first person guy.
Yeah.
I was a third person guy.
I think
Because like the series that got me into reading, the Shadowhunters, it's third person multi POV through
Yeah.
the whole 20 books.
And it is, and like I read a lot of that when I was younger, but like
Yeah.
the first few books I picked up, I think first person books are just easier to read.
Right.
Like you're being told what's happened as opposed to like figuring it out sometimes. But it took me a second to jump in and get it, but once it was in, it was locked
Mhm.
in, and we read it, and then started book 2 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Finished it the next month.
So my March, I read the sequel to Swordcatcher. It's called The Ragpicker King. Solid book 2. Can't wait for the third and final book in that series. Dungeon Crawler Carl, Shadow of the Gods, and then this is also when I started a book club with my wife, and we were actually like doing a podcast for it too. That's no longer available. Don't try to find it.
Did you take it all down?
We privated the videos
Oh.
because we were gonna start it back up, but we're like, those first 5 videos that we did are kind of embarrassing. Let's private those. So
I don't mind being.
I would have left it up. She wanted to take it down. So it's like, all right.
We love our wives.
Yeah.
We do.
Do. So anyways, we were going to alternate months on picking the book. She got to pick the first book. And I will say, this is the furthest thing from a top 5 book I will ever read. I hated every moment of reading this freaking book. And that is Quicksilver by Callie Hart.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go on a long rant. I've ranted about it before on TikTok and YouTube, and my wife thinks that I have kind of burned, like I have, how do I say this?
You've beaten the dead horse.
I've beaten the dead horse way too long.
You learned necromancy, brought it back to life, and then beat it again.
Yes.
So
That's how much I hate this book. And then later in the year, I started talking to another one of my coworkers about books, found out she was a big reader. And she's like, yeah, I'm reading this one that, one of our other coworkers said she really liked. It's called Quicksilver. And I was like, let me know what you think when you're done. She's like, do you not like it? And I was very edited with my thoughts on it when I was talking to her about it.
You never want to turn someone off because like
right. I was like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm not gonna tell you too much because I want you to enjoy it if you want to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't a fan, so I'm curious as to if you think
Yeah.
our other coworkers right or if I'm right.
Yeah.
And she came back when she finished. She's like, honestly, that sucked. I was like, yes, vindicated. I think that was my lowest rated book of 2025. At a 2.
I did not read Quicksilver. I don't think I will read Quicksilver. I think my wife read it, but she did not read Brimstone.
Yeah, no, my coworker read Brimstone, and she's like, honestly, it's a lot of the same. The male main character gets better, the female main character gets more insufferable.
Yeah.
And so like it all just kind of feels exactly the same.
Yeah, you gain points in one column to lose them in another.
Yeah.
So
that was March, like one of the best or 2 of the best and one of the worst. So yeah, and then we hit April, which is honestly all gas.
Yeah. There's one book for me that probably wasn't gas, and I'll get into that one because it was later in the month. I was just like in betwixt some books.
Right.
We finished Dungeon Crawler Carl 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we read it very quickly.
Yeah, I think mine was within like a couple days.
Yeah, I have my book calendar here, and it says I started it on March 30th, and I finished on the 1st. I was cooking. At the time, I hope my boss doesn't watch this. They might not. I wasn't doing a whole lot at work, so we read a lot at work in some downtime. So I went through some books.
Yeah.
I've read, I think, which would be my favorite ACOTAR book, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin. It's between Mist and Fury and Wings and Ruin.
That's typically the consensus. Yeah.
And then we got to Hunger of the Gods. Now this is a top 5.
That is a top 5. That is the book that I will put in the top 5 to represent the whole series.
Yeah, am I gonna name the spot in the top 5? I don't know, but it's top 5.
No, yeah, I'm not naming the spot. That's probably a whole other video, but
we read a lot of books, and to put this one substantially in a spot, I'm not doing that yet. Maybe at the end we'll take our top 5 and like rank.
I think I already technically did a top 5, but this will probably it might change.
Yeah.
Just because I've had more time to stew on it, but.
And then we immediately jumped into Fury of the Gods. We read this back to back. My wife was out of town while we were reading this, so like I had nothing to do but stay up and read all day, every day, and went straight into Fury of the Gods, and I cried.
Yeah.
That one got me. That one got me.
Well, with a cliffhanger, like Hunger of the Gods had, you had to go straight into Fury.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad for the people that read Hunger when it came out and had to wait.
Yeah.
Because I think the release of Fury got delayed for some family reasons from the author. And so that would have been agonizing.
Yeah. We got to jump into it. It was great. I'm always like sometimes thankful of like getting into things years later because you get to do that. You just get to go and like you get to then tell people that it's great and awesome. You don't have to wait anymore. So Fury of the Gods, I would say, is on par with my it's like, what is it? Hunger of the Gods is here in that series. Fury and Shadow are right on par.
Oh yeah.
The way he the first one is the build up. You'll love everybody. Things are happening. Most of the meat happens in Hunger of the Gods, and then Fury of the Gods, and we can talk about John Gwynne a little bit later. He's about character development. The plot is secondary, still really good plot, secondary to the characters. So it wraps up nice and neat.
Some of my favorite character work comes from John Gwynne.
Yeah. It's not just this like bang, avalanche of plot twists and crazy things happening. It's pretty linear plot. You maybe see it kind of coming-ish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still really good.
Yeah.
And then I finished the ACOTAR books. I read Frost and Starlight and Silver Flames in 3 days total because Frost and Starlight's like 150 pages or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to book 3. Cookbook is book 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Book 3 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. And it's up there. I like it. Not my favorite one. It's good, confusing, but fun.
Yeah.
And then Sword of Kaigen.
That's a top 5.
We were hanging out for the first time at Aaron's house. We were playing board games, and we were sitting there talking. I was like, "Have you heard of the book Sword of Kaigen?" He's like, "Yes, I want to read it." I was like, "Let's do that next."
Yeah, it's like we're gonna have to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Not, on the next Carl book, so let's throw that in there.
And you want to talk about the most devastating book that I have ever read?
Honestly, at that point, probably some of the most tears I've ever shed reading a book.
I was at work sobbing in my cubicle because of what happened in that book. And I remember it was kind of similar to the beginning of the Bloodsworn trilogy, where it's kind of took a minute to get into it. It took a couple of days for me to really get the engine started because it's a lot of history.
Yeah.
She puts a lot of history in there. And in a good way. There was at one point I was reading a scene where they're talking about the backstory of the world, the lore, and it's a literal history class that the main one of the main characters is in. And so he's bored to tears in this book, and I'm bored to tears in real life.
Yeah.
And I'm in my bed just kind of hanging out, and I'm God knows.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I think that scene was added, one, obviously to give context to the world we're reading, but because there were plans to continue more books. And then at some point in time, the author decided they weren't going to continue writing in that world, which It's such a shame.
Yeah.
But it then makes sort of Kaigen this kind of like beautiful gem of a book, like just this solo story. I just hate that like the last chapter is like all set up for future stuff.
Well, like
it's like you could take out that last chapter and then it's pretty much a perfect book.
Well, the Sword of Kaigen is the prequel, essentially. Not the full prequel, but what happens at the end is a prequel to the books that she wrote when she was a lot younger.
Yeah.
That you can't find. There's minimal physical copies out there, and she's removed them from the website, saying she may never revisit these. And so it leads into those, which we've talked about. If we ever find them, we're going to read them. From what I understand, they weren't super great. She's not super happy with them, and that's why she took them down, because she's never going to potentially come back to it, which sucks.
Yeah.
And then I read this book, and this is the one where like was the not banger of the month, and it was this book called Secrets of Isoria. It's this YA, like I wouldn't call it dark academia, but like she goes to a magic.
Sorry, we had a bit of a storage issue, so we're gonna have to speed it up a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah. So Sword of Kaigen, honorable mention for me, I think, and this is just because of what I also read. That's telling you like caliber of books.
Yeah.
I love this book so much. It's an honorable mention. Secrets of Isoria, it was all right. It was a fun little YA book. And then Gate of the Feral Gods to end and start April and May.
Right.
So
for my April, it's pretty much the same, except I didn't do any ACOTAR or Secrets of Isoria. While you were finishing up the last two ACOTAR books, I read the first book in the Poppy War series. I would say that is a middle of the road series for me, only because I absolutely enjoyed the world building, the story, everything was great. I just hated the main character throughout the whole thing, and I know I'm gonna get flack for that on the Book Talk sphere, but I also know there's people that agree with me.
Yeah.
So we'll move on from that. May, for me, this is where my reading kicked up. I read 13 books, and I will say about half of these are a bit smaller than my average read. They're not quite novella, but they're smaller books.
Yeah.
So I did the second two books in the Poppy War series. Like I said, solid series. Then there was the final three Carl books.
Yes.
Talk about back-to-back bangers.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that This Inevitable Ruin has to go on the top 5 list.
I would agree.
And I think I might have to move Sword of Kaigen and make an honorable mention like you, because I had some late entries into the year later that were just too fucking good.
Yeah.
And then I read the first Red Rising book. That was part of my book club with my wife. Blood Over Brighthaven, another tearjerker by M.L. Wong.
Yep.
M.L. Wong just knows how to do emotional damage in general.
And we've only read 2 of her books. And I think that's all that's published right now, too. I don't know if there's anything else out there.
Oh, I need to look that up, because if there is, I need to read it.
Yeah, I'm ready to be emotionally damaged again.
Yeah. And then the next 6 books were all from the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. So those were all the kind of shorter ones. They're still books, but they are pretty quick to get through.
Yeah. Our Mays were pretty much the same, except I started and finished Mistborn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't do Red Rising or Murderbot.
No. But I did do Blood Over Brighthaven.
Yeah.
And then the last 3 Carl books, and then Mistborn 1, 2, and 3. And this is where Interesting Theory came from.
Yeah.
Aaron had been not wanting me to read, but hey, we should, let's read this book. I was like, okay. I played the Mistborn card game, the deck building card game, before I read the books.
That's right. I got the card game at Dragonsteel Nexus the December before.
Took out some of the characters to choose from so I wouldn't be spoiled.
Yeah.
And but I read that book. I read Mistborn, loved it. In tears to that one too. Well of Ascension was really great, and then Hero of Ages, I stayed up till the wee hours of the morning, and by wee hours for 33-year-old human is midnight. Literally under my covers, because I didn't want to wake up my wife as I was crying at the end of Hero of Ages.
Yeah.
And then I read I think the weirdest book I read that I didn't hate, but it was the weirdest book. I read a lot of indie published books, a lot of indie authors as well, and it was called Depth to Dream. It was a fun little romp. A lot happening, and one of the shortest books I read all year. Like a lot of different plot points. Overall, it was okay. But, man, I don't know which of the Mistborn books, but one of the Mistborn books goes on the top 5. So,
and that's a whole other argument to decide which one.
yeah, because they're all great.
Yeah.
I think, if I have to choose, I think it would be The Final Empire.
That's just a really solid book 1.
It was. Like, it was just that good.
Mm-hmm.
And it got better from there. And that started the Cosmere journey.
Yeah.
And then June, I read another indie published book. I don't know if it's actually independently published or not. I think it is. It's called Dragon's Bane. It's actually pretty good. Book 2 is out. I'll probably read it this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read Warbreaker. And Warbreaker
So good.
is still probably one of my favorite standalones in the Cosmere.
Yeah.
I have a spreadsheet with a bunch of notes. I need to go back and put in the rest of my notes. I kind of like lapsed on it towards the end of my journey there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably one of my favorite ones. My Boy Light Song, just like hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Read Witch King by Martha Wells, and that was the biggest letdown of the year.
Yeah.
The biggest. I think we both read it.
We did.
Like
you read it before me, like you finished it before I started it.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna read it as a buddy read with a friend off TikTok, and you had finished it, and you're like, honestly, I'm gonna wait until you read it to let you know what I feel.
Which should have
And
been
then-
a like huge like.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, because I truly love the Murderbot book, so I thought, hey, Martha Wells, she's gonna knock it out of the park, and so I started reading it, and I wasn't vibing with it. And I pushed through to the end. I hardly, actually no, I've never DNF'd.
Yeah.
It's the first book I wouldn't say first book I wanted to DNF. I wanted to DNF Quicksilver, but I couldn't because I was reading it with my wife. That was the one on my own that I wanted to DNF. But I kept going because I was supposed to be doing a buddy read.
Yeah.
And then the buddy read got through like 25%, and they were like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. And it's like, I don't blame you.
The bones were good. Like, it had good bones.
It had yeah.
It didn't do anything. Nothing happened.
Yeah. I legit got to 75% of the book, and I was like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Nothing's happening.
I remember at that point you had messaged me, you're like, does something happen? And I was like, I can spoil it, or I don't. You're like,
Yeah.
I honestly don't care at this point. I was
Well,
like, I didn't like it. It goes nowhere from
Yeah.
there.
And it sucks because me and my friend from TikTok, Jess, we both got the arc for book 2 that was coming out later in the year. And we're like, all right, sick. We'll buddy read the first one. We'll read the arc. We can give reviews because we were both trying to grow our platforms and everything. And then we're just like, we're going to have to tell, was it Tor or Saga that published it? We're going to have to tell them that we can't do this.
Which sucks, because, like, it's nice to get arcs and be able to do those things.
Mm-hmm. But and then other than Witch King, I read Golden Sun and Morning Star. My June was very short, only 3 books, because I had kind of burned myself out after May.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a pretty good month.
Yeah,
It sucks that like it ended on a low note, but it was pretty good through the rest of it, because those 2 books are phenomenal.
I read Elantris as well. So the other standalone, not as good as Warbreaker, still really good, but it was his first book.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It read like not like your traditional first book, but he had been writing for years and years before that. It was just the first published one.
Right.
And so it was good. And then I read Starter Villain. I will forever recommend that book by John Scalzi.
From Sanderson's Nemesis.
Yeah, Sanderson's Nemesis. I sandwiched that book in between 2 Sanderson books. I thought it was great. It's not serious at all. Go read it. It's a blast if you need something to just go through. And then I read an arc as well, and it was called something. The Blood Cursed Dragon. I found the author on TikTok. He was taking ARC signups, and I read it, and it was fun. It was definitely like, I don't think it was his first book, but like in that time frame of first book, but like not super put together. It was
right.
I thought it was fun. And then I messaged Aaron. I said, think I'm ready. He's like, for what? I was like, The Way of Kings. And he's like, I think you're ready for The Way of Kings. Enough to where it's like, it was a big deal. Made a video about it on TikTok, and it was great, and it was awesome. And it took me 2 weeks to read The Way of Kings. And then we go in, because I finished it, I started it at the end of June, and it took me a week and a half, like, to the 6th of July to read it. And I finished it, and it blew my mind. I love that book. It's not my favorite in that series.
No. But talk about solid book ones.
Like, I remember finishing Wind and Truth, and it's like, I need to go reread The Way of Kings to get everything I missed. And that's just like, it's so good. And then I read, probably, this one makes my top 5. Project Hail Mary. Makes the top 5. All day, every day. I laughed. I cried. I recommended it to everybody who would listen. We had talked about it before I read it, that you were going to read it. And then I read it, and I was like, no, you need to read this right now.
Right.
I don't think it'll come off the top 5 even into this year. Like, it's just that good.
Yeah, I read it a little after. Do you have anything else for July?
Oh, yeah. Words of Radiance. And then I started my,
a big month.
Yes. Words of Radiance, Throne of Glass,
this dude alternated Throne of Glass with Cosmere for a good few months.
Yeah, for like 2 months I was going back and forth. And
I
then
was like, that's just a wild thing to do.
I had started the Stormlight, and then my little sister, who I got to read ACOTAR, who really liked it, and like we were starting to like, be really good friends. Like I wanted to have a cool relationship with my sister, so like we have, but like this kind of like brought a bunch of stuff together, because she's an adult now, and like we can talk about adult things and talk about adult books, and it's cool. And so we read, I would read a Big Boy Sando book, and then start Throne of Glass, and those ones start small. And then I read Throne of Glass, Edge Dancer, Crown of Midnight, and then I started Oathbringer.
So July, read book 4 in the Red Rising series, Iron Gold. I got to read an arc, which Iron Gold's good. It's my least favorite of all 6 books. It's not awful.
No.
It's not bad by any means.
No.
It's just
It's
out of the whole series.
It's hanging out.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
It's real. Honestly, the way I see it is that you have the first trilogy, you have Iron Gold as your bridge between, and then 5, 6, and then Red God coming out probably next year. Those will be the final trilogy if you want to break it up into kind of a chunk of stories.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Then I got an arc called Secret Market of the Dead.
I still want to read that, by the way.
Honestly, one of the most fun books.
Yeah.
I say that I think just because it's interesting, like it's unique.
Yeah.
It's imagine if like the example I use on my TikTok reviews, like if Guillermo del Toro did a Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah.
It's like Spirited Away, creepy little shadow world kind of thing, but there's a lot of whimsy.
Yeah.
It's just really good. I won't say anything about the story, but it's just really enjoyable.
Yeah, because I still want to read it. It's now out.
Yeah, it's been out for a little while. I think it was a debut too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a phenomenal debut, and I hope more people pick it up because it was just really good. Then I read Dark Age. Honestly, this is probably one of my more sadistic opinions, but Dark Age is my favorite Red Rising book.
It's my, and I'll get into this once we get there, but like it's my favorite out of the. It's barely above Lightbringer for me. Barely above Lightbringer for me out of the second trilogy, but
Yeah.
Morning Star, I think that one just was good.
And then I started the War Arts saga by Wesley Chu, the first book being The Art of Prophecy. I had read some Wesley Chu previously. He co-wrote books with Cassandra Clare in the Shadowhunter world. Loved it. And then found out he was actually like friends with Brandon Sanderson since like elementary school. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, let's see what else this guy has. And then I saw his War Arts saga books, and I was like, this is awesome. Magical Kung Fu, let's go. So I started reading those. Read the first two books. Well, I read the first one in July. The second one I read immediately after starting August, and then I got the arc for the third one because it released in September. So I read books 2 and 3 in August. Um, Read Lightbringer in August.
Mm-hmm.
It's so freaking good.
It's so good.
I crashed out.
I did too.
It honestly, it kind of sucks that my 2025 is so full of bangers that I can't put any Red Rising books in my top 5.
Yeah.
Even though they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then August, I also read Project Hail Mary. I feel like I've put too many books on the top 5, so we might have to review these, but
We might need to go to top 10.
yeah, that has to be a top 5.
Yeah.
That's
You read so many books last year.
Yeah, I don't think we've said the totals. I read 60.
Or it's 75.
Yeah, my original goal was 26,
Yeah.
and then by May I was already at like 32 or whatever. So I was
Maybe
like,
talked
well,
about it and said our cumulative goal to 60. Like
Mhm.
I was gonna read 60, you were gonna read 60. We had a plan.
mhm,
We stuck to it, and then I started the Cosmere.
yeah, I got a little bit busy with work, so I was able to just barely make the goal, whereas you just flew through it. And then the last book I read in August was a indie published book called The Crimson Court by Brendan Noble. I've got to meet Brendan Noble at Dragonsteel. He's a really nice guy. His book was pretty good. There's a couple things I had critiqued, but he was nice enough, that when we met, I was reading the synopsis for his other series, and I was like, honestly, man, this sounds more like my speed, because it's like Slavic mythology and all that. And he's like, here, try it. And I haven't got to read it yet, but he's just a really good guy. The book's pretty solid. Check him out.
Yeah, I follow him on TikTok. I've seen his videos. I want to read his books, but it's like so many out there, man.
Yeah. And then, that was my August. So what about yours?
August, I started Oathbringer in July at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and I finished it at the beginning of August, top 5. You will not have my pain. You can't have my pain. You're going to sit there and you're going to tell me, you're going to look me in my eyes and tell me that is just not one of the most banger lines ever said. Like, the other lines in the book, honor is dead, but I'll see what I can do, which I have tattooed on my body.
Yeah.
But you can't have my pain. And it's like, oh, dude. Oathbringer is in my top 5.
Sanderson knows how to drop bars.
Yeah. Like, that dude's doing something. He just knows. It's got to come to him. But it is my favorite out of the Stormlight archive, and it is the one that I will put in my top 5 out of there, because it's in the top 5 of the series, but that one will represent the series for me.
Yeah.
Oathbringer just brought it home. It brought all the characters together. Everything's culminated, and they finally have a way to get through this. For the most part, we don't know. We still have 10 years till the next book. We don't know what's happening, but Oathbringer was great. I liked it. Everyone says Words of Radiance. I'm an Oathbringer guy. So, and then we read Assassin's Blade. Hated it. It doesn't serve anything. Sam Cortland is a little bitch. Just saying, Rowan's my man. We read Dawn Shard, and then I read an indie book called The Replacement, and it is a book, an indie author here in the Tulsa area, and it's based in Oklahoma, where and it's fun. It's like 200 pages. It's an interesting concept. I think anybody should read it. It is fun. I read Heir of Fire, Mistborn: A Secret History, and then started Mistborn Era 2.
Okay, so I think for these last 4 months, to wrap up time, let's go ahead and fire off titles from September through December.
Got it.
You'll go, I'll go, and then we'll kind of pick a couple of highlights, and then we'll name our definitive top 5 for the year.
So we did September, we did Shadows of Self, Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio, Bands of Mourning, The Lost Metal, Queen of Shadows. Into October, we did Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, Kingdom of Ash, The Devils, a couple of Cosmere novellas, Rhythm of War, Stalking Jack the Ripper, which is a little YA book, Wind and Truth, Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, and then what is that little book? Oh, The Sunlit Man, Tress in the Emerald Sea. This is in November. Tress in the Emerald Sea. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Isles of the Ember Dark. Darker Shades of Magic. Colin got promoted in Dooms the World. Coffin Moon. House. The House of on Watch Hill. I believe that's what that one was called. And then in December was a John Gwynne Christmas.
A John Gwynne Christmas.
We read Malice, Valor, Ruin, and Wrath, and I think it goes to Ruin being in the top 5. And then I just couldn't help myself. I said I was going to be done at Wrath, and then I was at 74 books, and I was like, I got to even it out. So I read one of my favorite palate cleansers of How to Defeat a Demon King in 10 Easy Steps. And it's a weird honorable mention for me, and I'll get into that here in a minute.
Okay. So, September, we had The Will of the Many, Empire of Silence, Darker Shade of Magic, and then Howling Dark. October, we had The Devils, Alchemized, Between Two Fires, Empire of the Vampire. November was Brigands and Bread Knives, Empire of the Damned, and then Strength of the Few. December was Empire of the Dawn, or Empire of Dawn, whatever.
Of the Dawn.
Is it of the Dawn?
Yeah.
It is of the Dawn. It is of the Dawn. Then Malice, Valor, Ruin, Isles of the Ember Dark, and then Wrath.
Yeah.
So we also had a John Gwynne Christmas. The Empire of the Vampire series is why I said I might have to adjust Sword of Kaigen. Because that, as a whole, the trilogy, one of my favorite trilogies of all time. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've got a beautiful display up here on my shelf, but like, those are just phenomenal. Jay Kristoff is a brilliant man.
Yeah, seems like a nice guy too.
It's super nice dude. I mean, I say that I haven't met him, but I met Ryan Cahill, and Ryan Cahill said he's one of the sweetest men ever. So, yeah. So let's review for our top 5. I'll have to do Wind and Truth, Hunger of the Gods, Carl 7. See, here's the problem. Because I'm going to have to do Project Hail Mary, but then I have to decide between Empire of the Vampire or Faithful and the Fallen, meaning the John Gwynne Christmas.
Oh, that one's tough.
And all right, let me think about it. You go.
All right. So we had Hunger of the Gods on there. Where else do we go? We got Hunger of the Gods. We had Project Hail Mary, Oathbringer, Wrath, and then what else did I say there? Oh, this Inevitable Ruin as well. And then I had the honorable mentions, of course, of Sword of Kaigen. And then the 10 Easy Steps, or How to Defeat a Demon King in 10 Easy Steps, was so fun. If you love Legend of Zelda and you have gotten into the lit RPG genre, just read it. Like, it's pretty well written. You know how it's gonna end once you kind of get towards there, but like, it's just pure nostalgia in a well written book.
Right.
If you love Legend of Zelda, which I do, go read it.
I don't know, man. It's like literally one of the hardest things, because it really just depends on the day, what I'm feeling. Am I feeling more vampire? Am I feeling more Viking?
Yeah. Well, like, you got the other John Gwynne on there.
Yeah.
I mean, Empire. I haven't read it, so I can't even help with that. It's like, I've only read The Faithful and the Fallen there. I need to read Empire.
I'm gonna go vampire, and then the asterisk next to vampire is on some days it's Faithful and Fallen.
On some
days, yeah. It's like because there's just some days where I'm like, no, that series is too good. It can't be beaten. And then other days I'm like, no, the Empire of the Vampire trilogy is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So.
And that was 2025.
2025.
75.
And we're in our 5th month of 2026.
And how many are you in it right now?
Oh, a little slow. I'm at 16.
That's not bad. We just finished book 20 last night.
Oh, so Tanner's gonna win again.
We'll see.
But I've also kind of taken like slowed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of like I've read more in the first 3 or 4 months than I did of last year. But it's more of just like I'm not gonna try to rush into things for the sake of doing that. I'm gonna enjoy my time with them because I don't want to get burnt out again like I did last year.
Yeah, and I feel that. I've only read a couple of books this year that I was like, maybe I didn't want to read this year so far. That I kind of got through because I said I would read it. All the other books have been just kind of as my pace is allowed. This book that I just finished was 300 pages. It took me a week. Well, and I've been the month of April. I've been everywhere, but on God's green earth, Mothman's green earth. So, but I read a lot of bangers this year too. I don't know if we want to get into that on this one or if we're going to call it.
I think we'll call it. We're getting a little pressed for time, but thank you so much. Can't talk. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, I think. Should we give a little hint on the next one?
Do we even know what we're doing on the next one?
Yeah, we got a new book coming out that we're gonna buddy read on May the 12th.
Oh yeah, well it comes out on May 12th. I don't know how fast we're gonna get to the episode. It might end up being like episode 4, depending on.
Yeah, we might hit something in between there. Maybe like catch you guys up on 2026.
Yeah.
And then go into Dungeon Crawler Carl 8.
A Parade of Horribles.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But until next time.
We'll see ya.
We gotta sign off with an interesting theory.
Oh yeah.
That's okay.